Good deal.
All right, we will call the regular meeting of October 20th, 2020 to order and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance for those of us here in person.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Sean Douglas,
Here.
Michael Howry,
Here.
Michelle Hayes, Brian Horvath,
Here.
Gene Sensi.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howry,
Yes.
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi.
Yes.
Vote is 4-0. Just to let you know, that dinging is people coming in and out of the waiting room.
Okay, so
No way to block that long. It's running off one.
is there a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of September 1st, 2020?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Michael Howry,
Yes.
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Sean Douglas.
Yes.
Vote is 4-0.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting September 15th, 2020?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howry.
Yes.
Vote is 4-0.
All right, we'll now open the first public participation portion for this evening. Anyone wishing to address the board can do so on agenda items only. You have 5 minutes to do so. If you could state your name and address for the board, please.
So if you want to address the board, you're going to have to start your video and give us a thumbs up so you can be unmuted. Sean, I haven't seen you.
All right, seeing none, we'll move on to board member reports. Anyone, any of the board members wishing to give a report this evening?
And we have the moments of silence here.
You want to do that first, though? Okay, the moments of silence.
We have several moments of silence this evening. It's always sad to learn of someone's passing, especially when it's a member of our Madison family. Recently, we learned of the passing of Jackie Sprumley, a custodian for the Madison Local School District, Bob Wickert, a former Madison Board of Education member and president of the Madison Alumni Association, and Bill Baker, a former science teacher for the district. Jackie was born on June 15, 1958, and passed away suddenly on September 20th, 2020. Jackie graduated from Madison High School in 1976 and married her husband, Ernest, in 1980. Jackie was a custodian for the district for over 21 years. She brought joy to many South Elementary students when she would bring her beloved dog, Murphy, to the building. Jackie always put her family first and loved to spread her love to friends and family. Jackie will be missed by her husband, Ernest, children Sarah, Allison, and Maggie, her grandchildren, and many family, friends, and coworkers. All of us at Madison Schools extend our deepest and most sincere sympathy to Jackie's family and friends. Bob Wickert was born on January 9th, 1935, and passed away on September 26th, 2020. Bob was a 1953 graduate of Madison High School and served on the Board of Education for 24 years. He was also very involved in the Boy Scouts, as a member of Odd Fellows, Sons of the American Legion, Unionville Tavern Preservation Society, Friends of Arcola Creek, Masons Lakeshore Lodge, and served for 60 years as a Democratic Central Committee member. Bob was also very active in his church as a choir member, lay preacher, Sunday school teacher, and served on the Board of Deacons. Bob will be missed by his wife of 62 years, Barb, his children, Ann, David, Amy, and Matt, as well as many grandchildren and great-grandchildren. All of us at the Madison Schools extend our deepest and most sincere sympathy to Bob's family and friends. Bill Baker was born on June 25th, 1936 in Fairmount, West Virginia, and passed away on September 27th, 2020 at Tri Point Medical Center. Bill taught science at Madison High School for 12 years and was an environmental consultant for 5 years. He served the community in so many ways and was a recipient of the 2006 Red Cross Hero Award. Bill was a member of Park United Methodist Church and the Madison Ministerial Association. Bill will be missed by his wife of 61 years, Carol, and their 3 children, Robert, Todd, and Peggy, as well as his grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and many friends. All of us at Madison Schools extend our deepest and most sincere sympathy to Bill's family and friends. In a moment of silence.
All right, we'll move on to board member reports. Are there any board members wishing to give a report this evening?
Yeah, I like to. No, on October the 2nd, Angela gave me a tour of the North Elementary and the high schools. And just a huge shout out to Angela, David, all the teachers, all the children, staff, faculty. Just where, you know, say a year ago, when you would walk through the school where, you know, different structures and protocols and the kids, you know, you see little ones with masks on and following, you know, social distancing, and it's just amazing. So just a huge shout out to everybody. And then we have another tour coming up this Friday too. So thank you.
Any other board members wishing to give a report today? All right, well, moving on to reports and recommendations of the treasurer.
Thank you. I have, it's probably going to turn into a lengthy report this evening. First, an item that wasn't on the agenda, at 2 o'clock today, Bob Cerruti and Ashley met with 2 of our tech team members, presented on behalf of a magazine called District Administration. They presented on supporting remote, in-person, and hybrid learning. They talked about how they have to provide technology support to a number of different districts that are doing instruction a different way. And they also, excuse me, pointed out how some of those districts have changed from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. One went from in-person to remote, one went from remote to in-person, and the challenges that they face not only in addressing the needs of those 2 districts, but all of our districts getting ready for day one. I thought they did a real nice job, and I was appreciative that they were given that opportunity to do it. So talking about some things that are on the agenda. The first, I just want to explain the transfer from Fund 001 to Fund 002. It's a transfer between funds because of the principal and interest payments associated with the House Bill 264 debt. That debt was issued originally in 2011 to pay for energy efficient improvements. We refinance that debt every year because short-term rates are much better than long-term rates. And the short-term rate we got this year was nothing short of ridiculous. It's 0.5%. So we're borrowing $1 million, little over $1 million bucks, and our cost is $13,000. So the idea is you have energy efficiency savings in the general fund that helps offset the principal and interest payments every year. So with low interest rates, we certainly should be ahead of the game. The next item is the resolution designating me as the public records officer. That's to cover Brian for his time on the board between now and the organizational meeting. I'm assuming you want me to do that, but if you'd like to have to go to the Sunshine Law and public records training, that's fine with me. But the auditor suggests that the board passes a new resolution every time there is a new board member seated. So we'll pass it. If you pass it today, we'll also put it forward to the board at the organizational meeting, and then once a year should the board not change. School bus resolution, we participate in the Ohio School Council cooperative purchasing for buses. It saves us about $1,500 to do that. We don't have to bid it on our own. The Ohio School Council bids it on their member districts. We have And when you bid out 140 buses, you get a much better price than if you're bidding one. So we bought buses through this method ever since I've been here. And even if and I'm not sure we're going to buy one, but we can participate. There's no cost to participate. There's no cost to getting the bid. And then we can decide whether we can afford to buy another bus or not. We do have one that should be getting to us pretty soon. I'm actually surprised it's not here yet, that we purchased in January. And then late spring, we also purchased one. That one will be, half of the cost of that one is covered through state funding. So we got to get both of them in here. And then we also have a line on some used ones from Orange that as soon as their new buses come in, we're going to be buying theirs, which are relatively cheap, and we'll get a few years out of them. So it's the way we piece our fleet together. So there's also the subrecipient agreement with Madison Village. A few weeks ago, I contacted the village, the township, and the county about accessing some of their CARES funds. Heard that local municipalities were having trouble spending it because it does come with requirements. The village approved allowing our school district to access up to $126,500. They did that last week. Our resolution will complete the deal. We plan on purchasing additional Chromebooks, electrostatic sprayers, gloves, sanitizers, water filling stations. I can't thank Dwayne Bailey, Mayor Britton, and the village council enough for their support for this. Dwayne and Mayor Britton really championed our cause for, at their meeting. So the next item is the 5-year forecast. Let's see if this works. Okay. You guys see that? All right. So 5-year forecast. First, the forecast is as of September 21st, 2020. We haven't made any updates since then, and frankly, nothing has come to our attention that would cause us to make any adjustments. You also, in your folder, have a copy of the forecast, a copy of this presentation, and then some information that you'll also need. So the forecast for this year shows an ending balance of less than $50,000. And there are several factors that contribute to that. Mostly it's revenue is flat or declining. So revenue for the preceding and current year have been reduced by $500,000 due to the cuts at the state level. We found out about the first $500,000 in May of 2020 and had to react by the end of the fiscal year, which was about 6 weeks later. And then they haven't told us for sure whether we're going to be cut the $500,000 this year, except they're already taking it as a deduction. So they haven't said we're going to lose it, but they're already taking it. So until such time as they said, hey, we're going to stop taking it and give it back to you, we have to build it into the forecast for this year. There is no reduction in state revenue past this year. I restore the $500,000 in the last 4 years of the forecast. Revenue for the remaining years is flat. Overall revenue is projected to increase less than 0.2%. Expenditures will most likely increase with inflation. There's what our revenue looks like. And you can see we have a little blip in 19. But after that, it's pretty much flatlined within a couple $100,000. So we have two areas where our revenue is taking a hit. One is open enrollment. Our open enrollment peaked in about 2017, but has steadily declined since then. We're down about $400,000 from 2017, $400,000 each year. So when you think about it, a $400,000 reduction in year one carried out through the 4 years is about a $2 million effect on the ending balance. So $500,000 last year in state revenue, $500,000 this year revenue. that is $1 million on the bottom line.
Do
So-
we have any reasons or causes for why open enrollment?
I think some students went back to Berkshire, there were some of that. But also just enrollment's down everywhere. So less enrollment, less open enrollment.
Good, thanks. Sorry.
So the other item that is really affecting us is the joint financing district levy revenue. As you may recall, this is a joint levy with Painesville City Schools, Perry Schools, Riverside Schools, and us. The revenue and expenses associated with this levy are not included in the forecast, but what is included are the expenses that don't get covered by that revenue. So the first period of decline was due to a legislative change. They started not taxing certain types of property. And then when they stopped taxing it, they were supposed to hold us harmless. They did, and then they just kind of took it away. So overall, the joint financing district levy is less, and we get a portion of that lesser amount, or lose a portion of that lesser amount. And then the remaining decline, if you see from 2020 to 22, it starts to go down. It's due to a reallocation of the proceeds of the levy. Basically, you get out what you put in. So what this means is the revenue is less, so the reductions in revenue mean more expenses have to be picked up by the general fund. So between 2015 and now, the general fund has had to pick up another $300,000 of expenses if we redirect our transportation contract to there. But if there's not enough joint financing district levy revenue to cover that, the general fund has to pay the rest. Since that time, it's been $300,000 more. So again, 5 years, it's $1.5 million. So that's the joint financing district. On the expense side, you'll see that the numbers go up and down a little bit when we get to it. It has to do with a couple of sources of revenue that we were able to redirect from the general fund to these other sources of revenue for a short period of time. The CARES Act funding that we received, we spent in fiscal year 2020, $353,000. So our forecast wages were reduced by $353,000. That's a one-time shot. Those came back in 2021, 2021. We're not spending anymore. The effect on the 5-year forecast is more. And then we had student wellness and success funds, which we used some of those to offset general fund expenses. The rest were for additional programming, which is really what the governor wanted us to spend it on. So in I should actually say 2022, 2025, all those expenses that we pushed to these student wellness and success funds have to be returned to the general fund. Not spending any more money, just hitting the 5-year forecast. So I looked at wages because that is our single largest expense. Our wages are going up 4 out of the 5 years. But if you look, from 2019 to now, we actually went down 1.32%. Now, I have adjusted for the fact, I've added back in those wages that we put into other funds. If I didn't, our decrease in wages from year to year would actually be more, but I don't think that's the accurate way to show it. Our wages that should have hit the general fund, but for those other funding sources, went down 1.32%. Part of the cuts that we made. Going into this year, they went up 0.5%. That's not 0.5%. That's 0.5%. They're almost exactly the same. And then the rest of the years, they're going to go up by about 1.6%. So our wages in the district haven't and will continue to not keep up with inflation. I think I figured out wages on the base for the last 9 years have been 0.8%. So anybody who isn't getting a step, your administrators, your non-union people, your central office staff, have gotten their increase 0.8% each year for the last 10 years. Inflation has been much higher than that. So going backwards, but that's just part of the deal when you work here. Benefits are expected to go about 5.5%. Now, the benefit line is a mix of the retirement associated with our salaries and insurance. So if your salaries aren't going up, your STRS and STRS contributions aren't going up. So they may go up 1.6% in a year, but our medical is going to go up between 8 and 10%. I have no idea what it's going to look like at the end of this year. It's been a crazy year for the consortium. The months we were shut down, we're also fiscal agent for the consortium. We pay Medical Mutual weekly. We were having weekly payments between $300,000 and $350,000. They should be in the $500,000 range. Then, when everybody's allowed to go see their doctor, they started going up between $700,000 and $800,000. I won't know for another couple of months where it all shakes out when it's all said and done. So that we are usually, between Angela and I, we have a pretty good guess on what the insurance increase is going to be before the consortium because of the work we do here. Purchase services expected to increase about 3.3%, mostly due to inflation and an increase in special education costs. Special education goes up about 8% a year. So we have to budget for it. It's a combination of just cost increase and additional kids identified every year. And then the one thing we can control around here is supplies and capital outlay. For the forecast years, it's actually zero. Going into this year, we cut the building budget 25%. So here's how the expenses are going to trend. And again, these are what's on the forecast. So you'll see a dip in 2020. That's the CARES Act and the Student Success and Wellness Funds. 2021, it goes up a little because we have even more student wellness and success funds that we can take general fund expenditures and move them to a different fund. And then everything comes back in 2022. It's not us going crazy and spending, it's everything returning to the 5-year forecast. If the governor in his budget gives us more student wellness and success funds, we will then remove those from the 5-year forecast, improving the bottom line. And at that point, if we find out we're getting them for another year, typically it's going to be the May forecast that will show that adjustment. So I'm going to show you revenue and expenditures. Again, revenue is the blue line, it's flat, and expenditures are going up and down a little, but mostly up because of inflation. Not wages, not benefits, not really even hospitalization. It's just overall inflation affecting those items that we don't have much control over. So, this is the really sad part. So it leads to some pretty scary ending balances. We go from a cash balance this year of about $940,000 to a low the last year, the forecast to a negative balance of more than $12 million. So what can we do? Additional revenue. There's an opportunity for putting a levy on the ballot next year or cuts. Now, cuts are going into next year, we have to cut $2 million. And then going into the year after that, we have to put an additional $1.2 million in order to make it through the 5-year forecast. We will do what we have to balance the budget because that's what we're required to do by law. But I think between now and January and February, we need to have a conversation about what we are doing with this deficit with the district in order to balance the budget. So that's my 5-year forecast.
So Mike, you said by the 5th year, it would be 12 million in the hole.
Yes.
So I realize it's 2 million year one and additional 1.2, but that just keeps growing to the point where in order to balance the budget, if we did it solely on cuts, apparently by 5 years, we'd have to cut $12 million.
Well, if we cut going into next year, the 2 million, then you take that, you don't restore anything. So 2 million times 4 is $8 million effect on the bottom line.
Okay.
And then the 1.2 times the remaining 3 years is 3.6, you're $11.6 million. Yeah, you probably have to cut a little bit more for inflation, but the compounding effect of cutting now to get to the end, you can cut 12 million at the last, or you cut 2 million and let it roll for prices. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So, any other questions? Dean, do you have any questions?
Just one, Mike, and maybe you can clarify for me. I know at one of the meetings weeks ago, you had mentioned for our school district and all the districts in Ohio, how many there are. Where do we rank as far as the amount of funds we receive?
We are in the lowest 10%. I think the number, it's either 41 or 65. I think it's 40. Oh, funding received, it's 41%. We're the 65th lowest district, give or take a few, in what we spend per pupil. And we've been consistently the lowest in Lake County since I've been here, and even before I got here. We're the second lowest tax for schools. And I was going to add that into the slide, but I kind of want to keep it 5-year forecast.
Right.
When you go to pay your tax bill, less than half comes to the school district. People think it all comes here. I think in the financial report to the community, it's in the 40% range. It doesn't go to 50%. We are millage wise the second lowest, only Perry is lower. And again, we are lowest 10% for funding, and I don't know, 8% for expenditures per pupil. So
I just think it's important for the community to know. I just think it's important for our community to know that fact and all what we do and get done with that little bit, and so I just think it's important that folks know that. So I just like to have that clarification. Thanks, Mike.
yeah, and Sean has said it before, and I've said it before, we don't have a spending problem.
Right.
We have a revenue problem. We
Exactly.
only spend what we get in, and it's relatively low.
I have a question. I'm curious, it's a little bit more of a minor. You said special education was about 8% increase.
Yes.
Is that just increase per student or the actual number of students increased?
It's a combination of both. Yeah, because a lot of our services are provided by other school districts, they understand the bind that everybody's under. So they are passing along increases to their staff that are reasonable. So I'm just going to throw a number down. It might be a 4% increase due to cost and another 4% increase due to just more kids being identified.
And transportation becomes a part of that number, and that goes up, especially because it becomes harder and harder to find transportation because of so many diverse students. So it is
It's challenging.
it's frustrating. Yes.
Yeah. When is the next community report?
I sent the one out at the end of this fiscal year. I only do them at the end of fiscal years.
Yeah, I was just what little I know about marketing, or just the old speaker's adage, from Carnegie, tell them what you're, and then tell them what you're going to tell them and tell them again. And I know it's costly to do that, but I think part of the community participation is to make sure this is really public multiple times on every desk, not just libraries, but every place that we can. And
I can produce more, and it's not costly because we do everything in-house.
okay,
My guess is the print one, it costs us 50 cents. So, and we can make them, I've got them available as a PDF. We have it on the website, but we can see how we can get it out.
yeah, I really think we'll have to schedule some meetings, like you've talked about going into the community. Definitely be time to do that. This is
And some different ways.
Yes.
Because we're in a different time.
Yeah.
With the pandemic.
exactly.
I can give my reaction to this now, or I can wait to my report. What's the pleasure of the board?
We're on the topic now.
Okay. Obviously, I have thought about this long and hard in the last week or so since I got the forecast from Mike and we talked about it. And so I've talked to Sean a couple different times. I shared with you in our newsletter on Friday what I think our approach needs to be. The first thing that's going to happen tomorrow is I am got a letter ready to go to Governor DeWine's office asking for a meeting with him. Throughout this pandemic, he said he's been very accessible to people as far as conversations. And while the pandemic is still a big part of everything that's going on in the world, for my world, it has shifted. Last week, it really shifted to what are we going to do to save this district? And first step is to be reaching out to Governor DeWine. And I will be putting that letter that I sent out on the website and have Mike put it out on the Protect and Preserve Facebook page. Key tenets of the letter is the reductions we've made over the last 18 years that I've been in the district. I have a very unique perspective as superintendent. I've watched very many reiterations of reduction in force and what it's done to this district and where this district is financially and why we need the help. I really do believe it's a three-pronged approach. It can't be any one solution. We need to work with the state to get the funding cuts restored to pre-pandemic levels minimally. We need an internal review of our options for reductions and fee increases, and we need to work with this community to pass it up. And I have to say, none of this is easy. I think it is the most challenging position we've been in so far since I've been superintendent, and I'd even say since I've been in the district. The work we have ahead of us is tough, and I'm committed to doing what it takes to support our students to give them a quality education. I have to say this, unfortunately, will not be painless, and not everyone will be happy. But at the end of the day, we have to take the steps to be financially solvent and still be able to educate our students. Tonight was the first step. Mike's presentation of the 5-year forecast clearly outlines all these challenges we face. And now we have to come up with the details of our plan and begin sharing that information in a variety of ways. So like I said, my immediate steps, letter to the governor, right after the election, is to start meeting with those that will be elected in the next 2 weeks and let them know what's at stake for Madison as they work on that biennial budget, because that is a huge variable for us. We can do everything right, and if that budget doesn't hold us harmless for the next couple of years, it becomes a total crapshoot. We have to make some decisions, very tough decisions regarding programming in our schools, and we have to decide on what a May ballot issue will look like. As of right now, I think we take tonight to digest this information, and tomorrow we begin to work on the details of those plans by the release of the letter to the governor. Those are my thoughts.
So just to add to what you've said, we're going to start with the governor and the state legislators and hopefully increase our budget from the state budget. But if we're not able to do that, these cuts that we're talking about that we would have to make are significant cuts and get us dangerously low to the point where we start running the risk of the state coming in and taking over our school district. It's getting to that point. We've already cut and cut and cut in this district to the point where we're down to very basics. I would encourage everyone to read the letter from our superintendent that'll be released tomorrow. That is to the governor, but it talks specifically about cuts we've already made and our financial picture. And so if we're not able to get the state to modify the funding for our district, which is low, we're an impoverished district. I think 40% of the children who live in our community are on the free or reduced lunch program. So this is a very impoverished school district. And we don't get much money from the state. If you look at the surrounding communities and how much money they receive per pupil, that's a very simple way for you as community members to understand how much money your your students receive in this district, it's a per pupil. It's very simple. Add up every dollar we get, divide it by the number of students. Very simple. And then compare it to the districts that surround us and the other districts in the state, and we're very low. Our treasurer just told you that we're in the bottom 10% of districts in the state. And so if we don't get money from the state, we will make cuts, but I don't think we can cut our way out of this. And I don't want to run a levy, and no decision has been made on levies. This board has not discussed the levy. We're going to probably have to discuss a levy. That'll be done in public session. You will all have a chance to hear those discussions and participate in them if we have them. But we can't cut our way out of it. So hopefully the state comes through, but if that doesn't happen, we'll be talking to you again about this because there's no way to not talk about it. So it's very difficult. So I hope everyone hears that message and give that some consideration, reads the letter that will be released tomorrow by the superintendent.
So one final word, somebody may say, why did you wait so long? Well, if you look at it between May and July 1st, you lost $1 million. I mean, you didn't lose it. State cut us $1 million. That was significant. I will tell you, if the deficit next year was $1 million, that doesn't scare Angela or I. I mean, that's we've cut away $1 million, you know, before. It's harder every time, but that didn't worry us as much as now it's $2 million, and that's, you know, 10% of our budget, 8% of our budget. You know, now you're talking even more significant program impacting cuts. Shall I go on?
Sure.
Or do you want me to leave?
All right.
Okay, so onto the items in the agenda. The first is to approve the financial reports for all funds, fund-to-fund transfer report and the check payment register for September 2020, and to approve the transfer from Fund 001 General Fund to Fund 002 Debt Service Fund in the amount of $104,241.56 for the House Bill 264 note principal and interest payments.
I'll move.
I second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howery,
Yes.
vote is 4-0. The next is to approve the 5-year forecast for the fiscal years 2021 through 2025 as presented and found on file in the treasurer's office.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? I'd like to vote no, but it appears to be accurate, so
Wish it was better.
roll call.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howery,
Yes.
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
vote is 5-0. The next is to approve a sub-grant agreement with Madison Village for the use of coronavirus relief funds in the amount of $126,500 as found on file in the treasurer's office.
I'll move.
I'll move. A second.
Any discussion? I'd like to thank the village for being able to divert these funds to us. They certainly did not have to do that. We've had a good partnership with both the township and the village, but you know, we did I'm not using the right word, but tax abatement or something similar for those hotels up there years ago. This is certainly very much appreciated. Angela and I talked about making an appearance at one of the village council meetings to thank them at one of their upcoming meetings. I mean, this is $126,000 we didn't have yesterday that we're going to have. So,
And the costs of coronavirus are still with us.
yes. Any other discussion? Roll call.
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howery,
Yes.
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
vote is 4-0. The next are to accept the following donation. Generous donation of $300 from Michael Warren Real Estate North Elementary to be used for Streak of the Week. Generous donation of 3 vacuum cleaners and books from Carmoose Grand River Operations to North Elementary School to be used for first grade classrooms. A generous donation of books from Connie and Steve Niederhorn to Madison Middle School to be used in the Madison Middle School Library. Generous donation of gift cards from Chapel United Methodist Church to North Elementary School to be used as rewards for the Coffee Bean Kindness Club. Generous donation of gift cards from Joey's Italian Grill to North Elementary School to be used for Streak of the Month and Perfect Attendance Awards. Generous donation of $88 from the employees of Andover Bank from their Casual for a Cause campaign to the Madison local schools to be used as needed. And I will tell you, we put that in the Project Unify fund because they didn't specify, so we picked one. A generous donation of $211.50 from the Lee Erickson golf outing to MHS SAT to be used as needed. Generous donation of gift cards from Madtown Nutrition to North Elementary School to be used for their Coffee Bean Club. Generous donation from Crossroads Community Church of meals to the North Elementary School staff for parent-teacher conferences. Generous donation of gift certificates from the 528 Tavern to North Elementary School to be used for their Streak of the Month program. A generous donation of masks from Joanne Hudson to Madison High School Choir and the Madison Board of Education members. Everyone's there. Generous donation from Chapel United Methodist Church of assistance for Thanksgiving dinner for 15 families at North Elementary School. And finally, a generous donation of $490 from French Chiropractic and Wellness Center to the Madison local school district to be used as needed.
I'll move.
Any discussion?
Since Michelle's not here, she always speaks so highly and always makes sure that on behalf of our board that we thank the community for the generous donation. So I will do that on behalf of Michelle and the board tonight.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Jeannie.
Also, I do want to say thank you to Joe Hudson for these masks that we're wearing here today. She made these masks and donated them for the board members. She's made them for numerous groups.
She has.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion? Roll call?
Michael Howry,
Yes.
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes,
John Douglas,
Yes.
vote is 4-0. The next is to appoint Michael Vaccarello as the designee of each of the elected officials for the purpose of public records training.
I'll move.
second,
Any discussion? Roll call?
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
yes,
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howry,
Yes.
vote is 4-0. And finally, motion to have the Ohio Schools Council participate in the Ohio Schools Council cooperative advertising and have them receive our bids for school bus chassis and bodies.
I'll move. I'll second,
Any discussion? Roll call?
Gene Sensi,
yes,
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howry,
Yes.
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
vote is 4-0. Yeah, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Now for the rest of my report, we're 9 weeks in. We will begin looking for input from families, next month about potential return to school plans. I think, as we start communicating this message, though, I think what families need to realize is that the virus has not changed, and we still need to maintain social distancing. And so trying to make all those pieces work, people aren't going to get exactly what they think they might get. They're not going to get a normal school year. That's not what January is going to look like. With the virus still with us and health and safety, those considerations still need to be at the forefront of everything we do. And so next month, we're going to ask people what they think, based on the knowledge we have at the time when the virus is, about what they're, in order to make the appropriate decisions. I want to take the time to reiterate what I have heard the governor say a couple different times in the last week and a half, that in order for schools to stay open, we need to continue to follow the tenets outside of school as well as in school. We need to wear masks, social distance, wash hands often, sanitize high-touch areas. The last thing we need is that schools close down again. I was around different buildings today, and the learning that's taking place is good. I mean, kids are happy to be in school. They want to be there. For me, I went into my first grade classroom and I've shared with you a few times that at the beginning of the year, it was more like a kindergarten in the last quarter of the year. Today, those kids were on it. They've got their routines. They aren't talking out of turn. They're focused. They you know, you can tell that they need to be here. So, you know, we want to keep them here. So we need everybody to continue to do these things. The good news is in Lake County, we aren't in a high incidence area yet. You know, we may be orange, but we're still like, I think, 6th from the bottom in cases as they're ranked for county. Geauga's ahead of us now. A few weeks ago, we were three, Geauga, Lake, and Ashtabula were the bottom 3 of the 88 counties. So, you know, we've got some concerns, but right now, cases are staying out of our schools. And we want those things to happen because we want to continue to be able to have sports seasons. And we have a musical going on at the high school this weekend. It's the first live theater performance in the area in months, you know, and they're doing it in a different way. It's been a long time since I've been to a gym for a stage performance. So it goes back to my high school years. So it's going to be really neat to see them produce Chicago this week. So, you know, that's the bulk of my report is we made it through 9 weeks. We want to make it to Christmas break without having to shut anything down. And each time we get to Friday, Dave and I go, we made it. And we want to continue to make it. And we're going to have to look at things very closely as people make decisions about coming back to school, how we can accommodate everybody as safely as possible. And that's a challenge ahead of us. I do want to share on a lighter note, because we need some lightness after all the heaviness of this meeting. Last week or the week before, I think I appeared in my office last week. I got this box. I was like, what is this box? Well, they also were sending out emails. It was from the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Health Action Council. And they wanted superintendents to find somebody to compete in this step challenge. And I was like, I need one more thing to do, but they kept like bugging me and bugging me. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna ask Sean, because Sean throughout this pandemic has been walking like every day. So he gets his 5 miles in since the pandemic started. So I thought he's a natural to do this. He can make this step challenge. And you can share what you found out about a lot of these people on this step.
All right, so Fitbit is sponsoring this challenge and they're going to award a couple $1,000s to the state winner and a little bit less money to regional winners. So I do walk a lot. I usually walk about 15 to 20,000 steps a day, and Angela knew that, so she asked me to do it. So I said, okay. So on Sunday it began on October 18th, and I logged on to Fitbit at 9 in the morning, and some of these people had 30 to 40,000 steps on it at 9:30 in the morning. Well, I thought it was a walking challenge. Well, some of these people are 20-year-old marathon runners. Well, despite my youthful appearance, I am not a 20-year-old marathon runner. So I don't think we have to worry about how we're going to budget the 2,000 or 3,000 that we might get from the wellness challenge, but I'll do my best.
Top 15.
Well, I was in the top 15 in the state for Sunday and Monday. Now today I had to work all day in my office, so I didn't do that well. But Sunday and Monday, Sunday obviously I was off. Monday I was working from home, so I was able to get some extra steps in on lunch and everything. But I don't think, Mike, you really don't have to budget for it. It'll be all right. But I will keep stepping, but I don't think we have to worry about. I mean, yesterday somebody had 80,000 steps. Now, one person said that they ran a marathon and only got 50,000 steps. So I don't know how these people are getting 80,000 steps. I think they're taping this thing to the top of their washer with a lopsided load in it, or putting it on the cat or something, because I don't know how you get 80,000. I've walked a lot. And an average day, I can get 7,500 steps in an hour if I really, are diligent about trying to walk. So, I mean, that's 11 straight hours of walking. So I can't do it. I'm gonna be 50 years old. I can't do it. I'll do my best.
No, I appreciate you doing it because I was just like, I don't need one more email from these people. They don't know
And you
where
didn't
go
want to
from
walk it
there.
either.
No, I didn't. Did not.
So do we have a report on, how many steps that she plans to walk each day?
Yeah, I don't have that.
Yeah.
So it's 80,000.
You can use mine when I'm done. At the end of the day, you can take over for second shift.
Just remember, the superintendent always wins.
Okay, that's fine with me.
Hey,
My update tonight is around fall testing, which is coming up here pretty quickly. Our third graders take the English language arts test, their first state test in their young educational careers. And that's going to happen the week of October 26th. And then our high school students who are in some of the tested, are in courses that are in tested areas now. English language arts 1 and 2, algebra 1, geometry, biology, American government, American history. Any high school student who will complete one of those courses this semester will be taking the end of course test for the state test. And that's going to happen between the end of November and right up until the break, up through the month of December. I think it ends December 18th, that window. So no testing at the middle school in the first semester because they're year-long courses. The big challenge this year, we have about 30% of our students learning virtually. To take the test, they have to come in and test in person. The test has to be administered by a licensed educator, so we can't offer them in the homes. So I know at the elementary schools, the parents either have or will be invited in during that week of October 26th. There are separate rooms where those kids would come so that we can accommodate social distancing, and they have the opportunity to test. If a family does not want to send their child in, they do not have to. The state has made it clear. No child is required to test. As a school district, we're going to offer it and encourage anyone who would like to test to come in and take the test, but they do not have to do it. As far as the high school goes, they're going to offer testing sessions in the evening. They'll be in the cafeteria, I believe, where they'll be spread out and students can come in and take those courses, those tests for the course that they're just completing. We also have students who are doing retakes from prior years who want to improve their score. High school students can reattempt different tests as often as they want throughout their high school careers in order to try to earn better points towards graduation. So, hey Dave, before you go on, do we have any idea how many kids are going to need devices when they come in the buildings? Because that's 6 days away, and I don't know if
no, we're doing.
right, third grade is paper test. Okay, good. Yeah.
Yeah.
High school is online, so we'll have to talk with Mr. Fisher about how they intend to accommodate that. But does that start the 26th? That starts at the end of November. Okay. So let me make a note. Okay, good. Last year, when we all went home in March, there was obviously no testing that happened in the spring. The states all applied for a waiver from the federal government. Our federal funding that comes in is tied to our participation in testing and the accountability that's associated with them. This year, what we know at this point is we are required to test, and we don't know what the accountability will be for the tests. We know that some number of our students won't attempt it, and that's going to be true across all districts that are offering a virtual option. So as of now, we're hearing that no waivers will be granted from the federal government for states this year. This election could change that, so we don't know what that will look like in the spring. But we'll do what we have to do here, and we'll wait and see what happens going forward. And whatever we're asked to do, we're going to do the best we can with it. And we feel like our folks always
do everything they can to prepare our students for.
And the
the challenge.
legislature is looking at accountability. So while we have to test at the federal level, the legislature realizes that there are some gaps and there's going to be some things that we've got to close the gap from this pandemic. I mean, I guess one of the things I saw today is Columbus has made the decision that they're not returning to school till January. So, you know, and as Governor DeWine said today, and I don't disagree with him, you know, in these harder hit areas where kids are not in school, it's not the same as being in front of a teacher and receiving that instruction. And so, you know, in every BASA legislative committee meeting I've sat on, you know, we've heard from superintendents all over the state saying, you gotta give some, you know, relief to these kids. You know, it's not fair to the kids. I know Gretchen's on here and she's got 3rd grade and we talk about this every year. It's tough on these kids. So think about these kids that haven't been in a school building since last March, coming in to sit down and take a test on, you know, reading language arts, no matter how prepared they may be. It's just even the comfort of walking into a school building. So the state has said, relax. You know, if families don't feel comfortable, we understand. And I think that message needs to be loud and clear. And I thank the teachers for all they're doing to try and prepare these kids for this test next week. I don't think anybody thinks it's a good idea. Even the people in the legislature think it's a great idea.
And that's all I have.
Move into my recommendations. We're asking under the personnel motion tonight to approve the following unpaid leave request. Leave of absence for Deborah Hart for Madison High School Special Needs Assistant effective September 9th, 2020 through December 22nd, 2020. Approve the unpaid leave request of Jasmine Albert, ESL teacher for the 2021 school year effective May 17th, 21 through May 28th, 2021, and if necessary, beyond that unpaid leave date. We're asking you to accept the following resignation. A resignation of Melissa Addison, pre-K special needs assistant, effective October 16th, 2020. Accept the resignation of Denise Kinsman, long-term intervention specialist, substitute at South, effective October 6th, 2020. We're asking you to enter into the following employment contracts. Each of the following substitute teachers is approved by the Educational Service Center of the Western Reserve and by the Madison Local School District Superintendent under a 1-year limited substitute teacher contract. Rebecca Pillows and Katie Rusin to employ Pam Grinstead under a long-term substitute teacher contract from September 28, 2020 through May 28, 2021. Perform the duties of an open North Elementary position pursuant to ORC. To employ Marilyn Crane under a long-term substitute teacher contract from October 12, 2020 through May 28, 2021 to perform the duties of an intervention specialist at South Elementary School. To employ Anthony Gentile under a 1-year limited contract as a second shift custodian at Madison High School, effective Friday, October 2nd. To employ Ray Sweeney under a 1-year limited contract as a second shift custodian at Madison High School, effective Friday, October 2nd. The following persons each is a casual day-to-day substitute at the board approved rate of compensation: Melissa Addison and Brandon Wheeler. The following certificated personnel under a 1-year limited supplemental contract for the 2021 school year, beginning with BJ Titman and ending with Jackie Gary. The following non-certificated persons under a 1-year limited personal service contract for the 2021 school year: Art Rose, beginning with Art Rose and ending with Ralph Caswell. And then we're asking you to approve the following transfer: to transfer Shannon Burwell from a 6.5-hour position as a manager software at Madison Middle School to a 7-hour position as kitchen manager at South Elementary School effective November 1st, 2020.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Hallery,
Yes.
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
vote is 4-0.
And we we have several resolutions for you to approve this evening. The first being the resolution declaring Red Ribbon Week, which happens to be this week, the week of October 19th through the 23rd. That's offering community members the opportunity to demonstrate their commitment to healthy, drug-free lifestyles. And then we have several retirement resolutions. Nancy Porter for her 29 years of service to the district, Cheryl Rydell for her 33 years of service to the district, and Susan Chipperell as for her 30 years of service to the district.
Okay, so we'll open those together.
Want to go together? Oh, I'm sorry.
Sure.
I'm just the BMCs, they're all resolutions, so.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howery,
Yes.
vote is 4-0.
And the next is to adopt a memorandum of understanding between the Madison Local School District Board of Education and the Madison Education Association regarding concerns about the epidemic related to COVID-19 that affects terms and conditions of employment.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion?
I would just like to thank the MEA for their work with us throughout this pandemic. Like I said, this has been easy on no one, and our teachers have worked very hard, and I truly, truly appreciate all that they've done.
I was also going to say appreciate the cooperation and partnership with the MEA. Any other discussion? Roll call?
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howery,
Yes.
Brian Horvath,
Yes.
vote is 4-0.
And then the next item is the approval of Madison Public Library Board of Trustee to reappoint Stacy Game as a member of the Madison Public Library. Effective January 1st, 2021 through January 1st, 2028.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion?
Brian, are you clear as to why the public library is a part of a school board?
No, I
agenda?
was wondering.
Yes. I think our president here is probably in the best position to explain our relationship.
Alrighty, well, I previously served on the Madison Public Library Board of Trustees for 12 years. I was president for 10. I served with Stacy. She's a very good trustee for the library. Most libraries are school libraries, meaning that they're trustees. I think there are 7 trustees on a library, going back now a few years. And each of them serves 7-year terms, which is why this is 21 and 28. And I think this is Stacy's 2nd term. I remember recruiting her for the library board when I was president. She's an attorney in the area and she has a private practice now. And she does a great job. So we appoint the library trustees and then they independently run the library for the most part. I think we do approve their budget, their tax budget, but it's more, it appears to me to be more of a formality. As long as they have the funds to meet their budget, they're an independent organization for the most part. So, and we're lucky to have a great library. When I was there, I think we were nationally ranked in the top 10 libraries in the country for our size, and I think they've continued that. And their board is very has a lot of continuity. And so we still have a great library.
So hang on before the vote. He had her did a thumbs up thing. She wanted to say anything.
Hello?
Okay, Dee, you're
All right,
unmuted.
Dee, go ahead.
Hi, yes, thank you for appointing Stacy. She is a great trustee for our board, so thank you for that. And yes, what Sean Douglas said is most libraries in the state of Ohio are school district libraries. So the school appoints their board members and approves the tax budget. And if we ever need to run a levy, they have to approve that too. So thanks for appointing Stacy. And if we can do anything to help you guys out with anything, please let us know too. I know I heard some discussion about testing We just got in 10 new Chromebooks that we had planned on loaning out to students if they need them. So if you guys need to use anything, let us know.
Dean, thank you. We have 170 Chromebooks ready to go for testing, so
Okay.
you're 10 out.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
generosity. We appreciate the offer, but if you have 12 million, we would take that.
Okay. Yeah, not quite 12 million. No.
All right, that's Dee Culver-Smith. She is the director of the Madison Public Library. Any other discussion? Roll call?
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howry,
Yes.
Brian Morbath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
vote is 4-0.
All right, and we have first reading of policies, beginning with employment of administrators and ending with religious patriotic ceremonies and observances. Much of these policies were things that changed in either state or federal law. If you notice, 5517.02 sexual violence was deleted from our policy manual because the Title IX that we approved in August became the policy that replaced that. Some of the things that are dealing with religion in the curriculum and religious patriotic ceremonies came out of the House bill that was passed this summer as part of the coronavirus relief. If between now and the next meeting, you have questions about individual policies, please let me know.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Michael Howry,
Yes.
Brian Morbath,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
vote is 4-0.
All right, and then under the consent calendar this evening, we're asking you to approve 2 volunteer coaches, Brayden Jerome for high school football and Cody Ogradovich for middle school football. We're asking you to improve some independent study courses for Madison high school students. We have show choir, eclectica, advanced ecology 2 honors, AP biology 1, personal fitness, and tech lit. And then we're asking you to enter into a 5-year lease with the Madison Softball Association to utilize the Bennett Road property for the purpose of community recreation, effective January 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2025, at a cost of $1 per year and under the terms and conditions found on file in the board office. And then a consultant services contract with Tom Linsemeyer to provide sound director, music pit director, and lighting director services for musical drama performances for the 2021 school year, not to exceed $1,500 for all services combined.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? Maybe this Emma Norman can wear my Fitbit. It's a personal fitness thing. Roll call?
Brian Morbath,
Yes.
Sensi,
Yes.
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howry,
Yes.
vote is 4-0.
All right, we'll now open the second public participation portion of the night. Anyone wishing to address the board on any item, we have 5 minutes. State your name and address for the board, please.
Kind of like that thumbs up thing if you want to be unmuted. That seemed to work pretty well. Or turn on your video.
Seeing none, we have a need for executive session?
No.
All right, is there a motion for adjournment?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howry,
Yes.
Brian Morbath,
Yes.
vote is 4-0.
and adjournment.